Final ending of the 3 things. Part 1 down below. As to spending the rest of my life with the girl, it seems to me that she is going to divorce whether I'll have her or not. It doesn't feel like I'm the one dividing the marriage asunder. Could I be wrong? Hell, yes. What's why I'm here? I told her she would have to make that decision about whether to tell him or not. Do you disagree? If so, why? I'm not married to a particular outcome. I sincerely don't know what the right thing is. Well, she seemed so sold on divorce. I guess that's the answer. If she is going to divorce anyway, why F with the guy by making him hurt more? Is that so outrageous of a position to take? Man, I'm struggling right now. Sure, I'd love to be with her, but not at the expense of God or her husband. I'm just overwhelmed by these feelings. I don't know how to handle them. I guess I'm hoping against hope that somehow this will all work itself out, but I'll be honest, it won't. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going on a fast and I'm going to ask God to work this out for me. This is it, my decision. I've never been someone that believes in half measures or being lukewarm. I'm either all in or all out. In this case, I'm going to assume everything that she has told me is the truth. What to do from here? 1. I'm not going to screw her again until the process of divorce moves forward, no matter what. 2. My heart will remain with her 1000% until and unless she proves that she was lying or changes her mind. 3. I will start a fast tomorrow. 4. I will let God work it out. 5. The rest of the details are between her, me, her husband, and God. I have had some pretty gorgeous married women proposition me in the past, yet I never went there. So, I thought I was immune to this sort of thing. I was wrong. Starting my fast today. Maybe I'm not thinking clearly. I did cheat on my ex before my wife, but it was not in a serial way. It happened twice and she cheated in me as well. That relationship, for lack of a better word, was a whirlwind. As to cheating on my wife, that type of fidelity on my part was never an expectation of my marriage. My wife would joke about it all the time. Who did you F last night? With a smile. Honestly, I think it kind of turned her on. She talked to friends of mine about it, so I know it wasn't something that she expected out of me. When she asked me about it point blank, I told her. After I became a believer on Jesus Christ, my wandering eyes slowed down and eventually stopped. That was when I started having problems in my marriage, and also after my daughter was born, having to take care of her all night. It's really unfair to characterize those ons as something that was serial cheating. I'm sorry if this sounds defensive. It's not that I was the perfect model of fidelity, it's just that the characterization of serial cheater is not accurate. I think everyone needs a little help now and then. I'm going to reach out to men that I trust, and to God, for help. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. I am trying to do the right thing. I don't want to hurt people or families. Yes, I should have thought about that before I slept with her, the less crude way of saying it, for those that prefer. It's very easy to intellectually say what many are saying on this thread, I get it. I would have been saying the same thing myself. But when in the middle of something like this, well, it's easier said than done to do the right thing. Update. I just wanted to check in and say that I haven't had slept with her again. She has told her husband she wants a divorce. I was considering going to NC with her in case by some miracle she reconciles with her husband. We are both very remorseful over what we have done but still love each other. I have been praying a lot over this. I pray God's will be done. I pray to her husband as well. I guess my intentions were to wait until the divorce is filed before resuming a physical relationship with her, while not encouraging her to divorce, which I haven't, but whatever. But I guess that would be profiting from my sin, which I'm not supposed to do, either. She says that she was never married in a church, but that is a loophole I suspect, and probably not the right position to take. I guess I get no credit for not resuming a physical relationship with her. I get that, too. First of all, she's already told her mother. Her mother wasn't surprised because this is something she has been talking about for years. Second, I think there is a very good chance she is going to tell her husband, too. Do you honestly think hearing it from me will help their marriage? Wouldn't it be better to just butt out totally and completely and let them sort out what they want to do? Yes, it's what I should have done in the first place. I get that, but I can't go back and erase what I've done. Update, we have gone to NC. The ons were prior to becoming a Christian. And as mentioned previously, there was not an expectation of fidelity in my marriage. Poor decisions. Yes. Sin. Yes. Cheating. I'd say no. As to the restraining order, my ex-wife does not feel threatened by me. That is nonsense. This is the same woman that punched me in the face with a closed fist. Yes, I called the cops but stupidly decided not to press charges, and also tried to hit me with a car. The police witnessed that event, and in the mistake of my life, I didn't press charges. The restraining orders that she has taken out on me have been based on blatant and provable lies. I have not even spoken with her in the last 2 years ago, and even when I did speak to her, the only thing I was ever accused of was having an argument with her. She feels threatened that the truth will come out, not about anything I have ever did. I have never in my life raised my hands to any woman. I'm not even accused of doing so, yet I'm being made out to be an abuser by a provably false accuser. It's not right. Edit to add. Please keep in mind that my ex and her mother have also falsely accused my father, my mother, my stepfather, her sister, and many other innocent people. They are false accusers and it's not right. There was an expectation of her fidelity, not my fidelity. I know that probably doesn't sit well with many, but that's the way that it was. However, after she asked me about my aunts, it was decided that there would be no more of that stuff in the future. So, after I told her, there was an expectation of fidelity from both ends. This was my decision, not hers, but whatever. As to your example, the way that I see it, sleeping outside of marriage is 10 times worse than sleeping outside of marriage once. In other words, the more times it happens, the worse. This is the way that I feel from the betrayed spouse perspective. As such, I could probably forgive aunts, but to forgive a long-time affair, well, maybe I could forgive it, but no way could I remain married. That's why a lot of times when a male BS finds out about the affair, the first question is, how many times did you screw him? I don't believe for one second that sleeping with a couple of other women early in my marriage had a thing to do with my divorce. My wife had an it goes with the territory attitude about it, and to some degree I think it turned her on. It was something that I know for a fact was openly discussed with other women about me. And again, I don't want to excuse the idiotic decisions that I made. Just that it wasn't cheating. I can't sleep, looking forward to the day I can look myself in the mirror again. I was so angry with her for so long, I didn't realize what was underneath the anger. These overwhelming feelings of sadness, regret, despair, rejection, shame, love, etc. It's like they were trapped by my anger. Once I was no longer angry at her, once I released it, it was like a flood of emotion overwhelmed the levee. Things that happened 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and now it feels like they just happened yesterday. I can't believe how much was buried inside of me, more than I ever knew. They say time heals all wounds, but these wounds have not healed. It doesn't feel like they'll ever heal. Anger is just a mask, and I wore that mask, its name is denial, for many years. Now it's gone and all that is left is raw skin. The one I sinned against is God. His opinion is more important to me than anyone else's. It's not easy to confess your sins. My ex-wife is a BPD, so I have compassion on you. My experience is that those people have had heart trauma, which makes you no different than me. I plan on telling the leader of my Bible study group, a great man of God, a friend, a leader, someone I trust more than anyone in the world. I was going to tell him yesterday, but Bible study was canceled. I also plan on telling the pastor that attends the Bible study group, another great man, someone that will be very disappointed in me as he wants me to be a leader of men. I also need to join a new church. That's part of my plan. I will attend services Sunday and make up my mind about a particular church. Her infidelity was 6 weeks before we were to be reunited as a family under the same roof. When I discovered it, her reaction was to become enraged at me and file a restraining order. I didn't even know what she wanted to do as far as the other man. I was never allowed to discuss it with her because of the restraining order. To this day, she has never given me an explanation or apology. She went overnight from supposedly loving me and wanting our family to work, looking at apartments with me, having my daughter think we were going to be back together, to total hatred. She also denied that we were together to everyone she knows, even me. This despite the fact that we had just come back from a family vacation. I was paying all her bills. We were looking at apartments. Yes, I did have aunts, but I didn't blame her or use the revelation of my mistakes as an excuse to hate her or try and destroy her. I've fought so hard for my daughter. I've spent every last dollar I had and been back and forth to court dozens of times. My ex wants me out of the picture. She wants me to sign away my rights as a father. That's what all these allegations are about. I'll never give up on her, but my faith in the system is zero. I do have faith in the Lord God, however. 1. She tried to bribe, extort my mother and I out of a large sum of money. When we refused to give it to her, she drove to the police station and filed a criminal verbal assault charge against me. Please keep in mind, I have a copy of the original police report. The original incident had 2 police as witnesses. There was nothing about assault in the report. In fact, she and I both signed a document saying that no crime was committed. Her story only changed after we wouldn't give her money. I have a copy of the original police report that I would be more than happy to provide to anyone that PMs me. This is why I went to jail. 2. She punched me multiple times in the face with a closed fist once we started having marriage problems. I called the police, but I was convinced to not press charges against her by her mother. I did not fight back at all. 3. She tried to run me over with a car. As luck would have it, the police witnessed that event. Again, I foolishly decided not to press charges against her. If I had pressed it, she could have been arrested for attempted murder. 4. She robbed my mother of $2,500. By this time, I knew it would be a mistake to not press charges, but my mother didn't. Unfortunately, she decided to not have my ex arrested. She also flats out refused to repay my mother the money she had stolen. 5. She falsely accused my father of abusing my brother and I when she got angry with him. This was weeks after my father paid for a flight to NC to see him for a family vacation. 6. She had me arrested for a restraining order violation. AFTERVSHE called me. This police took her report. They told her it wasn't a violation because she initiated contact with me from an unknown number, and then she harassed and threatened the police department until they arrested me. I have the voicemail message she left me. She clearly asks me to call her back and threatens that if I don't call her, she will. Go to the police. Anyone can PM me and I will let you listen to the message. 7. She won't let me say goodnight to my daughter every night even though I have a court order. Her reasoning is that she wants me to call her house, which would be a violation of the restraining order. 8. She wouldn't let me see my daughter on my birthday or over the holidays at all. 9. When she dumped me for other man, she decided to cut my parenting time down from 5 nights a week to 2 nights a month. 10. She sent me a court summons for being $3 behind on my child support. Yes, that's correct, $3. 11. She attacked my ex-girlfriend. She called the police on her in yet another false accusation, called her grandmother and harassed my ex, even going so far to leave disparaging comments about her vagina on her community answering machine. Obviously untrue as well. 12. She will not let either of my parents see my daughter outside of the 2 nights per month I have ever. 13. She has abused my mother with taunting and profanities, and threats of never seeing my daughter again. Repeatedly. 14. She tried to leverage criminal allegations against me to get me to sign away my parental rights. If she is so afraid of me, why was she willing to drop all charges and the restraining order in exchange for me signing away my rights? It was county jail. It was misdemeanor simple verbal assault. Yes, she knows. She is totally behind me. The reason for this is that in the past my ex-wife and ex-girlfriend had a run-in. My ex-wife pulled a nutty on my ex-girlfriend. She called the police on her for nothing. She called her grandmother and other family members to hurt her. She harassed her and even left vile and untrue messages on her community sneering machine about her vagina. And she also faked being pregnant with my baby. Basically, she tried to destroy her life. At the time we were trying to be compassionate and kind. We didn't want my daughter to grow up with a mother who had a criminal record. I was hoping that these were mistakes she would learn from. I never dreamed she would do so many horrible things to me and my family. They originally tried to put me away for 5 years for the verbal assault, but they dropped it down to 30 days. The worst part is that my ex was not afraid. She has punched me in the face before with a closed fist. She knows even then I never raise my hand to a woman, not ever. The police were there. We both had to sign something saying everything was fine. Then 4 days later they asked me for a bunch of money and I said no. They drove right to the police station to take revenge on me. They even told me they were going to do it. And no one cares. As to showing them who you are, it's been tried 1,000,000 times over. The prevailing recommendation is to be humble in body language, say as little as possible, don't challenge your accuser in any way, be the reasonable one, etc. This strategy has utterly and completely failed thus far. My ex and her mother are just too skilled at manipulating the system. I have decided that I need to get my story out there, somehow. The facts need to be heard, but it feels like I'm fighting the giants. As to moving on, not possible unless I want to go back to jail for a long time. My ex is not going to stop falsely accusing me. This is not something that happened to me, it's something that is happening to me. When I go to work I have to worry about my ex harassing my boss and HR to try to get me fired, something that she tries to do all the time. When it's my turn to have my daughter, I have to worry about what my ex will try to keep me away from her. And then when they do keep her away, I have to worry about her and her attorney claiming I'm abusive by trying to get my time back. When I don't get my goodnight phone call, because I don't want to violate the restraining order, I will be accused of neglecting my daughter. My ex is constantly contacting my mother to try and cause fights between us. My ex and her mother are experts at this and I have to fight every day. I am still fighting 2 cases in court plus probate court, so there is no extra money to entertain my daughter. I may have gotten out of jail, but I'm still in prison. The evidence that I am an unstable parent is 0. The evidence that my ex is an unstable parent is substantial. If this were about evidence, I would have destroyed her in court years ago. It's not about evidence, it is about gender. I had filed a contempt motion against my ex for not accepting my goodnight phone calls. I had my call records and 2 witnesses that both took a day out of work. The judge inexplicably wouldn't allow the witnesses, nor would she look at the call records. She denied my motion in a display of pure craziness. I truly believe she denied the motion due to the ridiculous accusations that their lawyer made against me that day, none of which were true. If any restraining order is necessary, it is me having one against her. She is the one that is guilty of abuse, she is the one guilty of violence, and she is the one that continues to abuse me and my family. She is also the one that continues to harm my innocent daughter. I will not shut my mouth, I will not suck it up with a closed lip, as long as this abuse continues. I sat in court watching woman after woman getting restraining orders. The judge never even asked these women any questions at all. The judge would read the affidavit, then say he was granting the restraining order, and that was it. I assumed he would do the same for me, as I had a copy of the police report detailing how the police witnessed her trying to run me down with a car, and she could have even been charged with attempted murder. The judge proceeded to grill me. Why didn't you file for this restraining order on the day this happened? How do you know you are in danger? And a bunch of other questions that he never asked any of the women, most of which were just claiming they were afraid. Then the judge denied my request. Just to reiterate for the 1,000,000th time, I have never been violent toward a woman. I was never even accused of it, thank God. I have a different viewpoint of this, a much more optimistic one. I would like to get my story out there so everyone knows the truth. Some of my options are get a major magazine or news show to pick up my story, write a book, write a screenplay, start an internet campaign exposing the truth. I will not live my life hiding in the shadows and pretending that I've done something wrong. I have done nothing wrong. Forgiveness is something that I have struggled with. I do pray for my ex and her mother and ask that he bless them. I have asked the Lord to remove the consequences for their sin. But the tough thing is that they just won't stop. It's like they have a demonic hatred of me. And the worst part is that my little girl is suffering. I truly believe in my heart that she belongs with me. My ex is not capable of raising a child. My mother, who is a mental health professional, thinks that my ex and her mother have inflicted severe emotional trauma on everyone involved. There is PTSD and ongoing severe issues that this stress causes. My mother believes we are dealing with personality disordered individuals. These people are experts at recruiting others to do their dirty work, in this case courts, judges, lawyers, etc. Brutal honesty, they are too strong for me. I cannot defeat them on my own strength. I pray the Lord will fight for me. As to Blonde, it's not so much that she has done what my ex has done, it's that she has the exact same mindset. I see it now after living through this horrible ordeal. Just when things seemed darker than ever, I received the best news that I have in a very long time today. I received a call from the director of probation. He is doing an investigation into abuse of the legal system by my ex and her mother. He wanted to know everything. He actually listened to me. He wants to see the evidence that I have. He wants to talk to the witnesses that I have. He wants to meet with me this week. I am finally feeling that there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. Edit to add, once this information gets out there, I don't see how my ex can possibly continue these games. He just called me again. He said this is some serious stuff. He wants to meet with me and one of my witnesses tomorrow. I pray the Lord is about to deliver me. I'm going for broke. In for a penny, in for a pound. I have tried 1,000,000 times. They say that the evidence is not relevant or that the judge will not care. They say it would be politically incorrect to disclose that info. They say that's not the way the system works. As an example of what I'm talking about, I have not been able to find an attorney that would disclose to the court that my ex tried to leverage her criminal accusations into me signing away my rights forever as a father. She offered to drop all charges, the restraining order, and all future child support payments in exchange for me signing away my rights as a father. I fired my last probate lawyer because he refused to make this argument in front of the judge. So far, every attorney that I have retained or even consulted with has refused to disclose this. This is not the only example of information that attorneys refuse to disclose, but it's probably the best one. There are many other things that the lawyers basically have stonewalled me on, refusing to disclose them. Here are a few examples. 1. They wouldn't disclose that my ex and her mother tried to bribe me prior to filing the original criminal charge against me. 2. They wouldn't disclose that my ex has a long history of making false accusations and calling the police for no reason. This includes making accusations against her sister, my ex-girlfriend, my father, my stepfather, and my mother. 3. They wouldn't disclose that she tried to threaten a female friend of mine into supporting her cause. 4. They wouldn't disclose that my ex has a history of physical abuse against me even though I have police reports as evidence, and even though the police actually witnessed one of the incidents of abuse. 5. They wouldn't disclose that my ex's mother assaulted my mother on multiple occasions. These are just a few examples. There are many more. Representing myself, that is exactly what I decided to do recently. I just didn't bring it up because I knew that no one would agree with that move. Invariably, this decision has led to people questioning my judgment, except those closest to me that have seen the whole thing. They know the score. Basically, these people are all in bed together to a lesser or greater extent. I deserve to have my name cleared after years of smear campaigns, harassment, and abuse. I deserve to have my finances restored that I have lost after years of fighting a court and a system that doesn't care about truth, children, or justice. My daughter deserves to be raised by a parent capable of loving her and protecting her. That's me. My daughter deserves to be protected from an abusive situation. That's my ex. My parents and loved ones deserve to be recompensed for the hell that my ex has put them through. The truth needs to be revealed, heard, and examined. The lies, manipulation of the system, and triangulation need to be stopped and reversed. I want to make myself clear about one thing, however. Mercy triumphs justice. I would be more than willing to forgive and move on, even try to be friends with my ex and her mother. They do not want that. That is not an option for me. If it were, I would jump all over it. I would be more than willing to be flexible and negotiate. They do not want that. This has been tried 100 times over. It does not work. They want what they want, which is for me and my family to be totally out of the picture, and that will never happen as I will never give up on my daughter. I will never sign away my rights to my daughter. I went from having my daughter 5 nights a week to barely seeing her at all. This was after taking care of her when she was a colicky baby, all night long so she could be properly cared for as my ex-wife was too lazy to do so. Then I caught her cheating. She wanted money and threatened me and my mom that she would go to the police and we would never see her again. The lawyers promised me the world but have produced nothing. Now I'm bankrupt and I couldn't hire another one even if I wanted to. Meanwhile, my daughter cries and hides under the bed when it's time to go home. She asks me, "Daughter, why can't I see you more?" I told her I would fight for her and I would never stop fighting. I don't want her growing up with abusers. My comment: looks like OP is haunted by his past. If he is not lying, the court system is against him and he can't escape from his mistakes. He needs to fix himself and his life, and then he will have energy to deal with all the other crap. Story 2. A little background. We have been married for 10 years. This is a second marriage for both of us. Both of our first marriages ended due to our spouses cheating. I have a son from previous marriage and she has a daughter from previous marriage, and we both have a daughter together. Fast forward to today as I am writing this. We got into a fight last Friday night when I initiated bonding. It wasn't really a big fight at the time because all that was said was her telling me don't be mad, and as I laid there rejected, I finally got out of bed and went upstairs to be by myself. I ended up sleeping on the couch that night. She tells me the next day she is upset and I punished her for sleeping on the couch. She tells me how that I get to go to work every day and be around coworkers while she works from home and has to deal with the kids all day. It frustrated me because I have had a work week from hell the last 2 weeks because there are 2 coworkers that have been out and I have had to do the job of 3 people. I am in the middle 40s and already hate my job, and I rarely talk about work at home because I want to decompress from the day. Perhaps I should have been more sympathetic to her at the time, but I was so mad and frustrated because rarely does anybody ever care about how I feel in my house and how that my feelings about our physical life falls on deaf ears. I responded to her by saying I don't know what to say right now. Then on Monday, one of our neighbors came over for some reason during the day and I overheard my wife talking about the fight we had to the neighbor that is also her friend. The reason I found out is because we have a doorbell that records video and sound, and I was checking the doorbell app because we had an appointment for somebody to come to our house and they never showed up, but they claim they did. This is not the first time I have seen her bash me or talk about our personal life to her family or friends. I am a very private person and I believe that issues between husband and wife are not the business of anybody other than husband and wife. My son has been in some trouble the last few years and I have heard her talking to family members and friends about it like it is weekly gossip. Again, it is not something I like to discuss with everybody. I sent her a text saying, "Keep in mind the next time you bash me to your friends, remember the doorbell picks up the audio as well." She responded with "Thanks for listening," and then "Sorry you had to hear that." Little bit of invasion of my privacy. I just responded with a wow and she said, "Well, like that's not an invasion of my privacy." I was floored that my wife was gossiping about our personal life like a tabloid magazine and doesn't own it, and then proceeds to make me feel ashamed for catching her bashing me to a person that we both see almost on a daily basis. All this neighbor knows is how much of an awful person I must be because of her side of the story and doesn't know any of how I feel. She doesn't know how much our bedroom life sucks and how that I feel anxious to ever initiate bonding because I am sick and tired of being rejected. How my wife puts out zero effort and how that is destroying my self-esteem. The neighbor doesn't know what I have gone through with all the issues with my son and how hurt I am that he lives with his mom now and never wants to come see me. My son and I had a very tight relationship and now he rarely wants to see me. The neighbor doesn't know that I had a 2 weeks from hell at work and then I come home after a long day and do more than my fair share of cooking, cleaning, and honey dos. I do these things because I know my wife is stressed with working at home and all the lockdown crap. I don't ask for help because it is not in my nature, but it did frustrate me to see her and my teenage stepdaughter sitting on the couch doing nothing while I work my butt off at home, not even receiving a thank you. I get it, I am not the best communicator, but for a spouse to bash me or talk about me behind my back to friends and family can destroy any trust or closeness a couple may have. It makes me now not want to share anything with my wife because I can't trust her to keep it between us. I try to be a good husband and doing a majority of the work around the house because I guess all good advice articles tell us that good husbands are supposed to do these things. Wives should appreciate these things and it is supposed to help with their physical life. Well, I guess all those articles are BS because all I feel like is a doormat and a maid. Am I wrong to believe that we should value our spouses more than to gossip about them like a tabloid? My comment: maybe she vented to a friend because she tried to open up to you about why she didn't want bonding and her feelings didn't matter. You shut down by walking off and slept in another room. She was giving you an insight into her difficult week, but you had a hard week and you're the better person because you don't want to talk about it. Really look back at what actually took place here. She is probably exhausted from being home and dealing with that all week and probably feels guilty too because you're out working. And she expressed that frustration to you, the man she loves.